The morning sun came through the tall windows of Earth's galactic embassy. Wu stood near his desk, looking at the city below. Flying cars moved between the towers. Ships from other worlds landed and took off from the spaceport in the distance. 30 years had passed since humanity first met alien life. Now, beings from 100 different planets walked the streets of Earth. Wu was 52 years old. His black hair had turned gray at the sides. His face showed the lines of a man who had spent his life working, thinking, and sometimes worrying. He was a senior cultural liaison at the embassy. His job was to help humans and aliens understand each other. It was not easy work, but he was good at it. His assistant walked into his office. She was a young woman with sharp eyes and a tablet always in her hand. "Sir, we have a problem," she said. Wu turned around. "What kind of problem?" "A delegation has arrived. They did not tell us they were coming. No warning, no official notice. They just landed 20 minutes ago." Wu frowned. They were a proud species. They had blue-gray skin and large violet eyes. Their bodies were tall and thin, and they moved with great care, like dancers. They were known for their strict rules and their love of proper behavior. For them to arrive without notice was very strange. "What do they want?" Wu asked. Looked at her tablet. "They are asking to speak with you. Only you. They used your full name. They said it is a private matter." Wu felt something cold in his chest. In all his years of work, no alien delegation had ever asked for him by name. He had met thousands of beings, helped with hundreds of agreements, and solved countless small problems. But he had always been part of a team. He was never the main person. "Send them to meeting room 7, he said. "I will be there soon." Nodded and left. Wu stood alone in his office. He tried to think of any reason that would want him. He had visited their world once long ago as part of an exchange program. That was 25 years ago. He had been young then, only 22. He remembered their cities of white stone, their purple forests, and their cold, careful way of speaking. But that visit was so long ago. Why would they remember him? He straightened his uniform and walked to meeting room 7. The room was large and simple. A long table sat in the middle with chairs on both sides. Windows covered one wall, showing the city outside. When Wu entered, he saw 5 standing near the window. 4 of them wore the silver robes of diplomats. They stood straight and still, their violet eyes watching him. But it was the 5th who made Wu stop. She sat in a hover chair. The chair floated a few inches above the ground, carrying her smoothly and quietly. Her legs were covered by a dark cloth, and she did not move them. Her blue-gray skin was lighter than the others, and her violet eyes were fixed on Wu with a look he could not understand. One of the standing spoke. "You are the human called Wu. We thank you for meeting us." Wu bowed his head slightly. "I am honored by your visit. How may I help the people?" The standing looked at the female in the hover chair. Then they all stepped back, leaving her alone in front of Wu. "Please," she said, her voice was soft but steady. "Ask the others to leave. I wish to speak with you alone." Wu hesitated. This was not normal, but there was something in her eyes, something that made him trust her. He looked at the other. They did not seem surprised. They simply bowed and left the room. Now it was just the 2 of them. The female moved her hover chair closer. She stopped a few feet away from Wu and looked up at him. For a long moment, she said nothing. She just looked at his face, studying every line and mark that time had left there. "Do you remember me?" she asked. Wu stared at her. He searched his memory, going back through years and years of faces. Faces were hard for humans to tell apart at first, but there was something about her eyes, something familiar. "I am sorry," he said slowly. "I have met many beings in my life. I cannot place you." She smiled. It was a small smile, but it changed her whole face. For just a second, she looked young again. "I am the disabled alien girl you had joined with," she said. "On my world, 25 years ago. You came to live with my family as part of the exchange program. Do you remember now?" The words hit Wu like a falling stone. His mind flew back through time. He saw himself as a young man, nervous and excited, stepping off a shuttle onto an alien world. He saw a house of white stone near a purple forest. He saw a family who looked at him with curiosity and doubt. And he saw a young girl in a simple chair, her legs thin and still, her eyes full of something between hope and fear. Yep. Her name came back to him like a song he had forgotten. He whispered. Her smile grew wider. You do remember. Wu's hands began to shake. He grabbed the edge of the table to steady himself. 25 years. She had been so young then, just a child really. And he had been young too, full of ideas about making the galaxy better. He had spent a year on her world, living with her family, learning their ways. And in that year, he had done something that he thought was small. He had treated her like a person. On those with disabilities were called incomplete. They were hidden away, kept out of sight, education, and opportunity. His own family loved her, but they also felt shame. They did not let her leave the house. They did not teach her to read. They believed she had no future. But Wu had refused to accept that. He had talked to her every day. He had told her stories from Earth. He had taught her to read slowly and secretly, using books he brought from home. He had looked into her violet eyes and said, "You are not incomplete. You are whole. Your legs do not work, but your mind is brilliant." She had cried the first time he said that. And now she was here, sitting in front of him, no longer a child but a grown woman. Her eyes still held that same fire he remembered, but now there was something else too. There was strength. There was power. He said again, his voice was rough with emotion, "What happened to you? How did you find me?" She reached out and took his shaking hand in hers. Her skin was cool and smooth. "So much has happened," she said. "I have a long story to tell you, and I need your help, Wu. The galaxy needs your help. But first, I needed you to remember. I needed you to know that the girl you showed kindness to all those years ago never forgot, not for one single day." Wu felt tears in his eyes. He had spent 25 years wondering what happened to her. He had sent messages that were never answered. He had carried guilt for leaving her behind in a society that did not value her. And now she was here. "I remember," he said. "I remember everything." Squeezed his hand. "Good," she said. "Then let me tell you what your kindness created." 25 years earlier, Wu stepped off the shuttle and felt alien air fill his lungs for the first time. The sky above was pale green, and two small moons hung low on the horizon. That was beautiful and strange. Purple trees covered the distant hills. White stone buildings rose from the ground like sculptures. Everything was clean and quiet. Wu was 22 years old. He had just finished university, and he had volunteered for the Human-Alien Cultural Exchange Program. The program sent young humans to live with alien families for 1 year. The goal was simple: learn their ways, share human culture, and build understanding between species. He was one of the first humans to ever set foot on this world. An official greeted him at the landing area. The official was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large violet eyes. He wore silver robes and spoke with a careful, formal voice. "Welcome to our world, human Wu. We hope your stay will bring wisdom to both our peoples. Your host family waits for you. Please follow me." Wu followed the official through the clean streets. Citizens stopped to look at him. They had never seen a human before. Some seemed curious. Others seemed disgusted. Humans were new to the galaxy, and many species did not know what to think of them. The official led Wu to a house near the edge of the city. It was made of white stone, like all the other buildings, but it sat alone near a purple forest. The official stopped at the door. "This is the family of," the official said. "They have agreed to host you. Please remember that you are a guest. Learn our ways, do not cause trouble." He gave Wu a long look. "And do not embarrass humanity." Wu nodded. "I understand." The official left, and Wu knocked on the door. The family that opened it seemed nervous. There was a father tall and serious. There was a mother gentle but worried. And there was a son, about Wu's age, who looked at the human with open curiosity. "Welcome to our home," the father said. "We will teach you our ways. We hope you will teach us about Earth." Wu smiled and bowed. "Thank you for having me. I will do my best to learn and to share." They showed him to a small room at the back of the house. It had a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the purple forest. Wu put down his bag and began to unpack. That night they had dinner together. They ate strange foods, blue vegetables, gray bread, and a soup that tasted like nothing Wu had ever tried before. He ate it all without complaining. He asked questions about their customs, their history, and their daily life. The family seemed pleased by his interest. But Wu noticed something strange. There were 4 chairs at the table, but only 3 family members sat down. 1 chair stayed empty. Wu did not ask about it, not that night. Over the next few days, Wu explored the house and the area around it. He learned the family's routine. The father worked in the city, doing something with numbers and records. The mother managed the house. The son was studying to become a scientist. They were a normal family in most ways. But the empty chair bothered Wu. On the 4th day, he heard something. He was walking past a closed door at the end of a hallway when he heard a soft sound. It was like humming or maybe singing. A quiet, sad melody. He stopped and listened. The door opened and the mother came out. She looked surprised to see Wu standing there. Her violet eyes went wide and she quickly closed the door behind her. "That room is not for guests," she said. Her voice was firm but not angry. Wu bowed his head. "I am sorry, I heard a sound. I did not mean to intrude." The mother looked at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "You will find out eventually. It is better if I tell you now." She opened the door again and led Wu inside. The room was small and simple. A bed sat against one wall, a window let in pale light, and in the corner, sitting in a simple chair, was a young girl. She was thin and pale even for a. Her legs were covered by a blanket and they did not move at all. Her violet eyes looked up at Wu with fear and surprise. She was young, maybe 16 in human years. "This is," the mother said. "She is my daughter. She was born with a condition that damaged her nerves. Her legs do not work, they never will." Wu looked at. She seemed to shrink under his gaze, as if she expected him to be disgusted. "Why does she stay in this room?" Wu asked. The mother's face showed pain. "Among our people, those who are born incomplete are not shown. They bring shame to their families. Cannot walk, so she cannot work, cannot marry, cannot contribute. She is kept here out of sight." Wu felt something hot rise in his chest. It was anger, not at the mother, who clearly loved her daughter, but at a whole society that could throw away a person just because her legs did not work. "May I speak with her?" he asked. The mother seemed surprised. "You want to speak with her?" "Yes." The mother looked at, then back at Wu. "Very well, but do not give her false hope. Her life is what it is." She left the room. Wu pulled a chair close to and sat down. The girl watched him with wide, frightened eyes. "Hello," he said. "My name is Wu. I am from Earth." She did not speak. She just stared at him. "I heard you singing," Wu said. "It was beautiful. What was the song about?" His mouth opened slightly. For a moment she seemed unable to speak. Then, in a voice like a whisper, she said, "You heard me." "Yes, I liked it." Tears formed in her violet eyes. "No one has ever said they liked my singing. No one comes in here except my mother." Wu felt his heart break a little. This girl had been locked away her whole life. She had been taught that she was worthless, shameful, a burden, and yet she still sang. "I would like to visit you again," Wu said. "Would that be all right?" Looked at him like he was speaking a language she did not understand. "Why?" "Because I want to know you. I want to hear more of your songs. I want to tell you about Earth and hear what you think about it." "But I am incomplete," she said. The word came out flat and dead, like she had said it 1,000 times. Wu shook his head. Your legs do not work, that does not make you incomplete. On Earth we have many people whose bodies do not work like others. Some cannot walk, some cannot see, some cannot hear, but they are still people. They still have value, they still have dreams. Stared at him. Her tears fell down her cheeks, but she did not wipe them away. You really believe that? She whispered. I do, Wu said, and I want to help you believe it too. From that day on, Wu visited every day. At first, she barely spoke. She had spent so many years in silence that words did not come easily, but slowly, day by day, she began to open up. Wu told her stories from Earth. He told her about mountains and oceans, about cities full of music, about humans who had overcome great challenges. He told her about scientists who could not walk and artists who could not see. He told her about a world where people were judged by their minds and hearts, not by their bodies. And listened. She listened with a hunger that Wu had never seen before. One day, about 2 months into his stay, Wu brought her a book. It was a simple book, written in Basic. He had bought it in the city, keeping it hidden from the family. I want to teach you to read, he said. Looked at the book like it was a holy object. Reading is not for incomplete ones, she said. We are not allowed. I do not care what is allowed, Wu said. I care about what is right. And it is right for you to learn. Your mind is sharp, I can see it in your eyes. You deserve knowledge. He opened the book and began the first lesson. That night, after Wu left her room, held the book to her chest and cried. But for the first time in her life, they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of hope. The months passed quickly. Wu learned the language, their customs, and their way of life. He attended meetings with local leaders. He answered questions about Earth. He did everything the exchange program asked of him. But his real work happened in that small room at the back of the house. Every day Wu taught. He taught her to read. He taught her mathematics. He brought her books about history, science, and politics. He even brought her Earth literature, translated into. She read everything with a speed that amazed him. You learn faster than anyone I have ever met, Wu told her one evening. Smiled, her smiles came more easily now. I have nothing else to do. When you leave, I read. When you come back, we talk about what I read. It is the only good thing in my life. Wu felt a pain in his heart when she said that. He knew he would have to leave eventually. His year was almost over, and when he left, what would happen to her? The family knew about his visits now. At first they had been angry. The father had shouted at Wu, calling him disrespectful and strange. But Wu had stood his ground. He had said that on Earth all people were treated equally. He had said that hiding was wrong. The father had almost thrown him out of the house. But the mother had stopped him. She had seen the change in. Her daughter, who had been silent and empty for years, was now alive. She talked, she laughed, she sang. The mother could not take that away, even if it meant breaking tradition. So Wu stayed, and the father learned to look away when Wu walked his room. One night, about 3 weeks before Wu was supposed to leave, something important happened. He was reading a book about political history. It was a dry book, full of old laws and forgotten debates, but was fascinated. This law here, she said, pointing to a page. It says that all citizens have the right to speak before the council. All citizens. Wu looked at the passage. Yes, that is what it says. But incomplete ones are not considered citizens, said slowly. We are not counted. We cannot vote, we cannot own property, we cannot speak in public. I know, Wu said, it is unfair. Looked up at him. Her violet eyes were burning with something new. It was not just hope anymore, it was determination. What if we could change that, she said. Wu felt something shift in the air. This was not a child asking a question. This was a mind awakening to its own power. What do you mean? He asked. The law says all citizens can speak before the council, But there is no law that says incomplete ones cannot become citizens. It is just tradition, just what everyone believes. She held up the book. If someone found the right arguments, the right legal paths, they could challenge it. They could demand citizenship for those like me. Wu stared at her. She had found something that legal experts had probably missed for centuries, because those experts had never imagined that an incomplete one would read the law books. "You are brilliant," he said. "Look down. I am just reading what is there." "No," Wu said. He reached out and lifted her chin so she had to look at him. "You are seeing what others refuse to see. That is not just intelligence. That is courage." From that night on, their lessons changed. Wu helped study not just to learn, but to prepare. He brought her every political text he could find. He taught her about Earth's history of civil rights, about humans who had fought for equality against great odds. He told her about leaders who had changed their worlds with nothing but words and will. And listened, she wrote notes, she made plans. One week before Wu was supposed to leave, they sat together in the soft light of her room. The purple trees outside swayed in the wind. The two moons had risen, casting strange shadows through the window. "I do not want you to go," said quietly. Wu felt his throat tighten. "I do not want to go either, but I must. The program is ending. I have to return to Earth." "I know," looked at her hands. "But when you leave, I will be alone again. My family loves me, but they do not understand. You are the only one who has ever seen me as a person." Wu moved closer to her. "Listen to me. You are not going to be alone. Not really. Because I have given you something that no one can take away." "What?" "Knowledge," Wu said, "and belief. You know now that you are not incomplete. You know that you have a mind that could change this world, and you believe it. I can see it in your eyes." Tears fell slowly. "But I am scared. I am just one person. I cannot even walk." "Your legs do not work," Wu said, "but your mind is sharper than anyone I have ever met. Use it, study, plan, find others who think like you. There must be more incomplete ones hidden away in rooms like this. Find them, unite them, and when the time is right, speak. What if they do not listen? Then speak louder, keep speaking until they have no choice but to hear you." Wu took her hands in his. "Become someone they cannot ignore. And when you do, when you have changed this world, find me. Come to Earth and find me. I will be waiting." Gripped his hands tightly. "You promise you will not forget me?" "I promise," Wu said. "I will never forget you, not for one day." The night before Wu left, he gave one last gift. It was a small book with a blue cover. It was written in Earth language. "What is this?" asked. "It is a book of Earth poetry," Wu said. "I know you cannot read the language yet, but I have written translations of my favorite poems on separate papers. They are inside the book." Opened the book and found the folded papers. She held them like treasure. "Why poetry?" she asked. Wu smiled sadly. "Because poetry says things that regular words cannot. When you feel alone, when you feel scared, read these poems. Remember that humans have felt the same things. Remember that we faced darkness and found light. And remember that I am somewhere in the galaxy thinking of you." Press the book to her heart. "I will read them every night." The next morning, Wu stood at the door of the house. The family gathered to say goodbye. The father gave a stiff bow. The mother wiped tears from her eyes. The son shook Wu's hand and thanked him for teaching him about Earth, and sat in her chair at the back of the room, watching. Wu walked to her. He knelt down so they were at the same level. "Remember what I told you," he said quietly. "You are not incomplete. You are whole. And one day you will make this world see it." Nodded, she could not speak. Tears ran down her face. Wu stood up and walked out the door. The shuttle lifted off an hour later. Wu sat by the window and watched the world grow smaller and smaller. He thought about the girl he was leaving behind. He thought about all the things that could go wrong. Her family might stop her. The government might silence her. She might give up. But deep in his heart, he knew she would not give up. He had seen something in that could not be destroyed, a fire that had been waiting for someone to light it. He had lit it. Now it was up to her to keep it burning. The shuttle entered space, and the green sky disappeared. Wu closed his eyes and made a silent promise to himself. He would wait for her, no matter how long it took. Back on the world, in a small room by a purple forest, sat alone. She held the blue book in her hands. She opened it to the first poem and read the translation Wu had written. The words spoke of hope, of fighting against impossible odds, of believing in light even in the deepest darkness. Read the poem 3 times. Then she put the book down and looked at the wall of her room. For years, that wall had been the edge of her world, but now she saw past it. She saw the city beyond. She saw the council chambers where laws were made. She saw a future where people like her could walk in the sunlight. She would make it happen, not with her legs but with her mind. And one day she would find Wu again. She made that promise in silence, and she meant it with all her heart. Back in the present, Wu sat across from in the meeting room of Earth's embassy. The afternoon sun was fading, painting the sky orange and gold. They had been talking for hours. Wu had listened without interruption as told him her story. After you left, said, I spent 3 years studying in secret. I read every book I could find. I learned law, history, economics. I taught myself to write arguments that even the most traditional could not ignore. Wu shook his head in wonder. How did you get the books? Your family did not support this. My mother helped me, said. She never admitted it openly, but she would leave books outside my door. I think watching you treat me as a person changed something in her. She started to see me differently. And your father? His face became sad. He never changed. He died 5 years after you left, still believing I was a shame to our family. I do not blame him. He was raised to believe what everyone believed. He did not have a human to show him another way. Wu felt the weight of those words. Such a small thing he had done, just treating a girl like a person, and yet it had rippled outward in ways he never imagined. What happened after the 3 years? He asked. His eyes grew bright with memory. I started to reach out to others, other incomplete ones hidden away in rooms like mine. It was dangerous. The government did not want us communicating, but I found ways. I wrote letters. I sent messages through trusted people. Slowly, a network grew. A network of people like you. Yes, people who had been told their whole lives that they were worthless. People who had never been taught to read, never been allowed to dream. I taught them what you taught me. I shared books. I shared hope. Smiled. You would have been proud, Wu. We were careful. We were patient. We built something real. Wu leaned forward, and then, after 7 years, I made my first public move. I demanded to speak before the city council. They laughed at me. They said incomplete ones had no right to speak, but I had studied the old laws. I knew there was no rule that explicitly me. It was only tradition. The same thing you discovered when we were studying together, Wu said. Nodded. I stood my ground. I quoted the laws. I made them explain why tradition should overpower written rights. The council did not know what to do. No incomplete one had ever challenged them before. In the end, they let me speak, just to see what I would say. What did you say? Closed her eyes, remembering. I told them my story. I told them about being locked in a room for the first 16 years of my life. I told them about never being taught to read, never being allowed to see the sky without shame. And then I told them about the human who came to our world and saw me as a person. Wu felt his chest tighten. I told them that humans judge people by their minds and hearts, not by their bodies. I asked them why they, who claim to value wisdom above all things, would throw away minds just because of damaged legs or arms or eyes. Opened her eyes. Some of them were angry, but some of them were listening, really listening, for the first time. That was the beginning, Wu said. Yes, the beginning of a very long fight. His voice grew heavy. The traditionalists tried to silence me. They threatened my family. They spread lies about me. They said I was dangerous, that I was trying to destroy culture. Some people believed them. But not everyone. No, not everyone. The incomplete ones stood with me, and slowly others joined. Young who had grown up seeing humans in the galaxy, who had started to question the old ways. Parents who had hidden children and felt guilty about it. Even some council members who knew, deep down, that our traditions were cruel. Moved her hoverchair closer to the window. She looked out at Earth City, at the flying cars and the tall towers and the ships from 100 different worlds. It took 15 years, she said. 15 years of speeches, of protests, of legal battles. We lost many times. We were arrested. We were beaten. Some of us died. Her voice trembled. But we never stopped, because you taught me that we could not stop. You taught me that change is possible if you refuse to give up. Wu stood and walked to stand beside her. What happened after 15 years? Turned to look at him. Her violet eyes were shining with tears and triumph. We won. The council passed new laws. Incomplete ones were recognized as full citizens. We could own property. We could vote. We could hold public office. Wu stared at her. You changed your entire society. We changed our entire society, said. All of us who fought together, but I led them. And I became the first incomplete to hold public office. I am now a representative for the northern region. I speak for millions of people. Wu had to sit down. His legs felt weak. He had spent 25 years wondering about the girl he left behind. He had imagined many futures for her, but he had never imagined this. He said, "What you have done, it is incredible. It is beyond anything I could have dreamed." "It started with you," said simply. "You lit a fire that I kept burning. Every time I wanted to give up, I remembered what you said. Your legs do not work, but your mind is sharper than anyone. Become someone they cannot ignore. I heard your voice in my head every single day." Wu wiped tears from his eyes. "I tried to contact you. For years I sent messages, but they never got through. The government blocked communications from Earth," said. "They knew a human had started this. They did not want more human ideas reaching our world. I never received your messages, but I never forgot you either." They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the sun finished setting, and the lights of the city began to glow. "You said you needed my help," Wu finally said. "What is happening?" His face became serious. "The traditionalists have not given up. An elder named leads them now. He has gathered power among those who hate the changes we made. He says the old ways were right. He says incomplete ones are still incomplete, no matter what the law says. He wants to reverse everything you fought for." "Yes, and he has support. Enough support that our world is on the edge of civil war." Hands gripped the arms of her hoverchair. "Has declared that I am a traitor to culture. He says I should be brought to justice. His followers have tried to kill me 3 times in the last year." Wu felt cold anger rise in his chest. "They are hunting you." "Yes, that is why I came here. I need sanctuary. I need protection while I find a way to stop him." Looked at Wu with desperate hope. "But I also came here for another reason. I came here because you once told me that Earth believes all people have value. I need Earth to say that publicly. I need humanity to stand with us." Wu understood. If Earth supported and her movement, it would send a message to the entire galaxy. It would make the traditionalists think twice. It might even stop the war before it started. "You want me to speak to the Galactic Council," he said. Nodded. "You know our history. You know what you started. You are the only human who can tell this story the way it needs to be told." Wu looked at her. She was no longer the frightened girl he had met in a small room 25 years ago. She was a leader, a revolutionary, a hero. And she still believed in him. "I will do it," he said. "I will stand with you. I will tell the galaxy what you have done and why it matters." Reached out and took his hand. Her grip was strong now, not desperate like it had been when she was young. Thank you, Wu. Thank you for everything, for then and for now. Wu squeezed her hand back. You did the hard work. You changed your world. I just reminded you that you could. Smiled. That is what humans do, is it not? You remind us all that we can. The Galactic Council Assembly was the largest meeting hall in known space. It floated in orbit above a neutral world, a massive station shaped like a ring. Inside, representatives from over 200 species sat in rising rows that circled a central platform. Lights glowed from every direction, and translation devices hummed softly, turning every language into every other language. Wu stood outside the main chamber adjusting his formal uniform. His hands were not shaking this time. He felt calm. He felt ready. Stood beside him. The traditionalists have already made their statement. Elder called a criminal and a disgrace. He demanded that Earth hand her over for punishment. Wu nodded, and the council's response. They are waiting to hear from you before they vote. Many species are undecided. They do not understand why Earth is protecting a dissident. Then we will help them understand. The doors opened, and Wu walked into the chamber. The noise of 100 different species talking at once filled the air. As Wu walked to the central platform, he saw Elder on the side of the chamber. The Elder was old, his blue-gray skin wrinkled and spotted, but his violet eyes were sharp and full of hate. Behind him sat other traditionalists, dressed in old-style robes. On the other side of the chamber, in a special section reserved for guests, sat in her hover chair. She was surrounded by her own supporters, younger who had grown up in the new era she had created. They looked nervous but determined. Wu stepped onto the central platform. The chamber fell silent. Representatives of the Galactic Council, Wu began. His voice was steady and clear. I stand before you today to speak about a matter that goes beyond one world, one species, or one political dispute. I speak about the nature of value itself. I speak about what it means to be a person. He paused and looked around the chamber. Beings of every shape and color watched him. Some had eyes, some had sensors, some had organs he could not name, but all of them were listening. 25 years ago, I was a young man. I traveled to thee as part of a cultural exchange program. I lived with a family for 1 year, and during that year, I met a young girl named. Wu pointed to where sat. She was born with a condition that left her unable to walk. Such people were called incomplete. They were hidden away. They were education, citizenship, any chance at a meaningful life. They were treated as if they did not exist. Elder spoke up from his seat. This is tradition. You had no right to interfere with our culture, human. The chamber stirred with murmurs. Wu waited for silence before continuing. You are right, Elder. It was tradition. A tradition that said the value of a person depends on whether their body works correctly. A tradition that threw away brilliant minds because of damaged legs or arms or eyes. Wu's voice grew stronger. I did not go to the world to change anything. I went to learn. But when I met, I could not stay silent. I could not look at a girl who was smarter than anyone I had ever met and agree that she was worthless. He turned to face the whole chamber. I did something very simple. I treated her as a person. I talked to her. I taught her to read. I told her that her mind mattered. That was all. I did not lead any revolution. I did not write any laws. I just treated one girl with basic human dignity. Wu pointed at again. And look what she became. She taught herself law and politics. She organized others like herself. She fought for 15 years against a system that wanted to erase her, and she won. She changed her entire society. She became the first person with disabilities to hold public office in history. The chamber was completely silent now. Even Elder had stopped interrupting. The traditionalists call her a criminal, Wu continued. They say she has destroyed culture, but what culture is worth saving if it requires throwing away living beings? What wisdom can a society claim if it cannot see the value in its own children? He walked to the edge of the platform, closer to where sat. Humanity has made many mistakes in our history. We have been cruel. We have been foolish. We have hurt each other in terrible ways, but we have also learned. We have learned that every person has value. We have learned that the body is just a container, and what matters is the mind, the heart, the spirit inside. Wu turned back to face the council. Earth will not hand over to those who want to destroy her. We will protect her because protecting her is right. But I am not just asking you to support one person. I am asking you to recognize a truth that many of you already know but are afraid to say out loud. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from every species. How many of your worlds have people like? How many have those who are born different, who are hidden away, who are told they have no value? How many of you have looked away from injustice because it was easier than fighting it? The silence was heavy now. Wu could see beings shifting in their seats, avoiding his gaze. Did not look away, she fought. And she is still fighting, not just for herself but for everyone who has ever been told they are less than whole. Wu stepped back. I ask the Council to grant protected status. I ask you to send a message to the galaxy that all lives have value. And I ask you to remember this day. Because this is the day you choose what kind of galaxy we will be. He bowed his head and stepped off the platform. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then activated her hover chair and moved to the platform. Beings whispered to each other as she rose up, positioned herself at the center of the chamber. Slowly, with great effort, stood up. Her legs trembled. Mechanical braces along her limbs hummed with power, supporting her weight. She had never stood in public before. The effort was visible on her face, the strain clear in every muscle. But she stood. I am, she said. Her voice rang through the chamber. I am incomplete by the standards of my people's traditions. My legs do not work. They never have. For the first 16 years of my life, I was kept in a room, told I had no future, told I was a shame to my family. She looked at Elder. You call me a criminal. You say I have destroyed our culture. But what I destroyed was a lie. The lie that bodies determine value. The lie that some people deserve life and others do not. She turned to the rest of the council. Humans see what others refuse to look at. A human came to my world and saw me when my own people would not. He did not give me strength. He did not give me intelligence. He simply reminded me that I already had those things, and that reminder changed everything. His legs were shaking harder now, but she refused to sit. I do not ask for your pity. I do not ask for charity. I ask only that you recognize what is true, that every being in this chamber, regardless of their body, has value. That is not a human idea. That is not an idea. That is the truth of the universe itself. She finally lowered herself back into her hover chair. The mechanical braces stopped humming. She was breathing hard, but her eyes were clear and strong. The chamber erupted in noise. Beings were talking, arguing, shouting. But Wu could see something happening. He could see minds changing. He could see the truth of words spreading through the room like light through darkness. When the vote came, it was not close. The council granted protected status. They issued a statement recognizing the rights of beings with disabilities across all member worlds, and they called on the traditionalists to end their persecution. Elder stormed out of the chamber, his followers behind him, but they were smaller now, weaker. The galaxy had spoken against them. That evening, Wu and sat together in the embassy garden. Earth's moon was rising, casting silver light over the flowers and trees. Ships passed overhead, carrying beings from 100 different worlds. You did it, Wu said. Shook her head. We did it together, 25 years ago and today. Wu looked at her. The girl he had met was gone, replaced by this remarkable woman. But in her eyes, he could still see the same fire he had seen in that small room so long ago. What will you do now? He asked. Go back to my world, said. The fight is not over, still has followers, but they are weaker now. The council's decision will give our side strength. In time, we will win completely. And then, smiled, then we will build a world where no child is ever hidden away, where no one is ever called incomplete, a world that would make you proud. Wu reached out and took her hand. I am already proud, more proud than I can say. They sat in silence for a while, watching the moon rise higher. Two people from different worlds, separated by species and distance and time, but connected by something stronger than all of that. Wu said finally, do you remember what you asked me to do all those years ago? You said to become someone they cannot ignore and then to find you. I remember. Squeezed his hand. I found you. Wu felt tears in his eyes. Yes, you did. Thank you, said, for seeing me, for believing in me, for showing me what humanity truly means. Wu looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, civilizations were changing. Beings who had been hidden were stepping into the light. A revolution of kindness was spreading through the galaxy, sparked by the simplest of ideas. That every life has value, that everyone deserves to be seen. That is what humans do, Wu said softly. We remind the galaxy that we all matter. Leaned her head against his shoulder, and we will never forget. The moon rose higher, the stars shone bright, and somewhere in the darkness hope was growing. Because one human had treated one alien girl with kindness, and that had changed everything.